My name is Aurora and I am 29 years old. My dad slapped me on his birthday. And the sound of it still echoes in my head. It was supposed to be a simple family dinner, cake, candles, forced smiles stretched to tight across and comfortable faces. I had spent weeks saving for his gift. It wasn't expensive, but it was thoughtful. I told myself that maybe this time, if I chose carefully enough, he'd look at me with something close to approval. When I handed him the wrapped box, my hands were shaking. Not from excitement, from fear. He tore the paper off in front of everyone. The second he saw what was inside, his face twisted. "What kind of worthless junk did you give me?" The room went silent. Before I could speak, his hands struck my face. The sound was sharp, final. My head snapped to the side. My cheek burned. My ears rang. I tasted metal. I remember my mother staring down at the table. Relatives frozen in their chairs, pretending not to see. No one said a word. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I grabbed my jacket and walked out with tears blurring my vision. The cold night air hit my face as I ran. The house behind me looked smaller with every step, like it had finally rejected me completely. All my life, I'd been told I was a burden, a mistake, someone lucky to be tolerated. That slap wasn't just pain. It was confirmation. I walked for hours until my legs felt numb. I didn't know where I was going. I only knew I couldn't go back. Then everything changed. A car slowed beside me. Before I could react, someone grabbed my arm. I was pulled inside. The door slammed shut. My mouth was covered. The car sped away. My heart pounded so violently I thought it would explode. I was sure this was how my life would end, alone, forgotten, exactly as I'd always feared. Then the driver spoke. "Hello, dear. I am your biological father." For a moment, I thought fear had broken my mind. I stared at him, unable to process the words, "biological father." The man driving said his name was Daniel. He told me to breathe, to listen. He said he had been watching from a distance for years, waiting for the right time. And what happened that night pushed him to act. He explained that my mother had lied decades ago, that the man who raised me wasn't my real father, that deep down he had always suspected it, and maybe that's why he resented me. Hearing that didn't erase the pain. It sharpened it. Every insult, every punishment, every cold look suddenly made horrifying sense. Daniel showed me proof the next morning. Birth records, old photographs, DNA results. My name printed on official documents felt like evidence that I existed beyond the cruelty I grew up with. 2 weeks later, I stood in a courtroom. The legal process moved quickly. The slap wasn't dismissed as just a family matter. It was assault. Years of documented emotional abuse were presented as evidence. When I walked into that courtroom, my legs felt weak. He was already there. For the first time in my life, he didn't look powerful. He looked afraid. The judge asked me to speak. My voice trembled at first, but I didn't stop. I told them about growing up on eggshells, about never being good enough, about the birthday slap, about being called worthless in front of everyone. Medical reports were shown, witness statements, DNA confirmation. The truth stacked up against him piece by piece. He tried to interrupt. The judge silenced him. Then came the moment that changed everything. The judge declared that his physical assault and prolonged emotional abuse had consequences. His legal rights over me were terminated. His authority stripped away. His control gone. I didn't feel triumph. I felt relief, like I could finally inhale without fear of being struck again. Outside the courthouse, the sunlight felt different. Justice didn't erase my scars, but it told me they mattered. In the weeks that followed, I started therapy. I moved into a small apartment that felt safe. I began rebuilding the version of myself that had been buried under years of shame. When I hear his words now, "What kind of worthless junk did you give me?" I no longer think they define me. They define him. The slap on his birthday wasn't the end of my life. It was the moment the truth forced its way into the light. Sometimes the people who hurt us most are the ones meant to protect us, but they don't get to write our ending. My dad slapped me on his birthday. 2 weeks later, A judge took everything from him. And in losing his power over me, I finally found mine.